Hey guys, welcome to another video here from my listening chair. And by popular demand, what I'm going to end up doing here is showing you guys a couple of things here. From my previous video, you guys know that I have a Bluetooth amp and I love it. This thing is freaking amazing. I primarily use it for my turntables. I'll introduce you to those bad boys. First one is my Technics SL 1300, and it is equipped with a Artifon 2M Blue, and the preamp I use is actually this Fuzzy Audio tube amp, and it's great, guys. I have it at the minimum gain here of 32 dB, and it does the job beautifully with this amp. So I'm really happy with that. This is one of the turntables I picked up here from the Facebook Marketplace that I've been talking to you guys about. The other turntable that I picked up is a crazy one. That's pretty much the reason why I actually did it. This is my JVC QL A7, and what can I say, guys? This is probably the nicest turntable I've ever owned, and probably I'll ever own. I don't see myself moving up from this bad boy because this thing is amazing. It is a manual turntable, but it does have auto stop, not auto return, auto stop, which is great because when you're listening to records, the last thing you want to do is keep playing them until that stylus is just worn out. No, what's nice about it, it lifts the arm and turns it off. So I think that's what ended up happening with this. That's why it's showing on. But the innovation is crazy for 1978. There's stop, there's 33 RPM, there's 45 RPM, and it's quartz locked. So if I go ahead and hit 33, boom, it's already there. If I hit 45, boom, it's already there. This thing turns, and then again, I want to shut it off. It's got an it's got a stop mechanism, so it has to get brakes mechanism in it. Let me get that. Wait, it's a little dirty there. But there it is, guys. Those are the two. Now, the other receiver that I have, that I currently use, is my Yamaha RS202. And I use this primarily for the cassette and CD. The CD that I use is the Integra CDC 3.4. It is a 6 carousel, and it is amazing sound. Of course, it uses an optical, which that bad boy has there. But I don't use it with that. I use the RCAs with this. Okay, so don't use this full capacity. Down below, I got a switcher that I switch between the two turntables with. One is turntable 1, turntable 2 is the JVC. And below that is the Neo Hippo switcher, which allows you to switch from one amp to another to the same set of speakers, guys. This is a godsend. I love it. And not only does it look beautiful, but it's super functional. If you guys follow me on YouTube, you can see the that I have these things on constantly when I'm playing. And this is the receiver, the actual RQ. Okay, so this is the Equalizer, EQ, not RQ. I was reading it REQ. It's the Rockville REQ 42, and it does a great job of making those bad records sound good. Now, I was able to hook all of this up together using all these components. They're all hooked up together, and I'm going to show you guys how I did it. So stay tuned for this video. You're not going to miss it. Alright guys, what I've done here is I've removed the center tower that I actually have everything hooked up to, so I can show you guys how I connect the amps to the EQ. All right. So this is the blue tube that I have here, and these cable wires are actually hooked up to the Neo Hippo VU meters. Okay, that's how these 2 amps are actually integrated into the system. The Hippo is down here, and as you can see, maybe you can't see, so I can get the light on for you guys. The Neo Hippo has the actual receivers amps via the speaker wire. I don't know why it's taking me forever to say these things, but via the speaker wire hooked up to right and left channels, the other receiver, right and left channels, right there. And the speakers that I am actually using are on the speaker section on speaker 1. So A and B for the receivers, 1 and 2 for the speakers, and I have actually 2 set of speakers hooked up to 1. And how I do that, I'll show you as well. Okay, but let's start here with how I integrate the receivers. So again, that's all that means is this integrated into the selector on that Neo Hippo. These RCA cables are what make the difference here. This RCA cable, ignore. This is to a subwoofer out. I don't have a subwoofer hooked up to this yet. I will. This one is actually the auxiliary in. So the auxiliary in is hooked up to this. Okay. So the auxiliary in is where it's going to actually go out to. So the auxiliary in is actually hooked up directly to the EQ. And the auxiliary in is hooked up, let me see if I can show you guys here without this mess. Sorry about that. The auxiliary in is hooked up to this receiver out. So receiver output is on 1 for the blue tube. Okay. Right and left, that's receiver out. Okay. That's where these 2 amps are hooked up. So the first one is for the blue tube. The second one is for the Yamaha. And the Yamaha, I have it on section selector output 1. Okay, that's the only cable it's hooked up to, output 1. And that is down here on the EQ. Again, let's go back to the EQ here on receiver 2. So receiver 1, receiver 2. This is how you hook up receivers to an EQ. Now the other components are hooked up to these others. I have the auxiliary hooked up to I want to say the reel-to-reel. The tuner is to the 2 record players. The tape, of course, is a cassette deck, and the DVD I hooked up to the CD player. All right, that's the way it works on the EQ for that. So again, that's how I hook up the reel-to-reel and all those to that. Now you might be saying, how does he have 2 record players hooked up to 1 EQ? Well, I'll show you guys how I do that as well. All right, guys, like I said, you're probably thinking, how does he hook up 2 turntables to one EQ? Well, this is how right here. This is my audio switch auxiliary 401. This actually allows you to use 1 connection and hook them up to 4 different outputs. All right, so in this case, both turntables, each turntable has their own preamp, but it goes into the switcher. From the switcher, it goes directly towards the EQ as the tuner section. So tuner right here. If I hit tuner on there, let's see if I fire this up. I hit tuner, tuner's on. It's the JVC is 2. The Technics is 1. So of course I've been listening to JVC, so that's there. This is lets me pick amongst the two receivers. Now, like I said, the Bluetooth only works the turntables. That's it. That's what the Bluetooth does. Well, the two turntables and the actual TV up top. The TV is run by the optical cable. So that's when I go down to optical. The TV is run by that. I go back up to do the turntables. Just as smooth as that, guys. So hopefully that answers your question on how I hook up the receivers, two receivers here to that EQ. I'll put these things back and show you guys some demonstrations. Alright guys, now I know I was going to tell you how I actually combine these speakers from 4 speakers to 1 post on the back of the Hippo Plus. Okay? And it's basically parallel wiring. Alright, now the only way you do that is by hooking up one speaker, in this case the Pioneer, hooking that up to the Polk. The Polk actually has 2 hookups, 4 parallel speaker wiring, which is nice, 2 posts. If I didn't have 2 posts on the Polk, what I'd have to do is put these wires combined with these wires, and then have that wire come out into the actual Hippo Plus. So the Hippo Plus has 1 set of wires, right and left channel, going to it on the right side, all right, and the left side. Same thing. I actually have the speaker from the Pioneer going straight to the Polk, and the Polk from the Polk goes out to the Hippo Plus as the left channel speaker. All right, that's how that works. So now that you know that, the only way that works, in case you have that question as well, is these speakers are both 8 ohms each. So if you put them together, it quantifies a power outage range of 4 ohms. So 4 ohms, 4 ohms. Okay, so it can handle 4 ohms. Luckily for me, the Rockville Bluetooth amp does handle 4 ohms. Now, lucky for me, that Yamaha does as well, because I'm able to play both speakers on the Yamaha as well. Now, is the Hippo Plus responsible for that? I'm not sure, because they are connected to the Hippo Plus, not to the receivers. Again, as you can see, the receivers are hooked up to the Hippo Plus as well, via the right and left channel. Okay, that's the only reason those receivers have speaker wire, because the Hippo Plus UVU meters runs on speaker wire. But again, the reason for this, the EQ runs on RCAs, and everything's hooked up to RCAs except this, which is hooked up the turntables to the 1 and 2 switch. From that 1 and 2 switch, it's hooked up to the EQ as the tuner button. Alright guys, hopefully that answers your question on that. Now let's do the demonstration. Alright guys, so you saw how that worked out. Now I got it hooked up here to the Yamaha. Alright, line 1 out. Line 1, from line 1 of the Yamaha to the Hippo, saying that it's now going to be receiver B, or amp 3, amp B. That's going to actual be picked up. And again, the EQ is on tape. So as you can see, I moved it over to tape. Now that we have that, we have the NAD 602 ready to go. Let's go ahead and play. And then we got music coming out of that. There it is. That's how that works, guys. Method to the madness on all this. Alright, now I gotta turn this down. Let's turn that down. So that's how that works out, guys. Okay? If you guys want to be able to do that, it takes some patience. It took some trial and error for me to get this all hooked up the way it is. But I love the way it's set up. The VCR is hooked up to the tube that I have right here. Alright, I got the VHSs there, so don't mind the VCR. I just think it looks great next to that reel-to-reel. And it works great too. But yeah, guys, that's basically what I got. So if you guys have any other questions on this, please let me know. Hopefully this answered your question. I'll hook up 2 amps to 1 EQ. Hopefully that answers your questions on that. And if you want to know anything more about the setup that I have here, how one thing hooks up compared to another, or more about the speakers themselves, just let me know. Excuse me. And yeah, I'll get that out for you guys. Hopefully this helps, guys. Again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And till next time, guys, from my listening chair.